welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Lid Grober, and as always, very happy you chose to join me. Today on our program, we'll host Hanna Eady, a playwright behind the Al-Midan Theater's first play in Hebrew. A new satirical show in Iraq makes fun of the Islamic State. And we'll see how TV and movies can affect Hillary Clinton's chances in 2016. Hanna Eady is a Palestinian-American playwright whose plays often touch on Palestinian life here in Israel and the Palestinian Nakba, the destruction of Palestinian villages in 1948. His latest play, Quieter Days, was recently staged in Israel, the first Hebrew language play in Haifa's Arabic Al-Midan Theater. Very happy to have Hanna here in the studio. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the play and about the story you tell in it.
The play basically is about a relationship between a Palestinian man and a Jewish woman. It's a very specific play to that relationship, but of course it touches on very, broad themes. Global themes, very universal. It can be staged and done in any language you want. It's a love story that did not get its chance to be completed.
Right.
Obviously, there's a third element in there, which is the system, the Israeli Shabak, or whatever you want to call him. They are not present on stage purposely. They're off stage, but somehow they're very powerful, and they prevent it from happening. It does have a happy ending. I don't want to give it away.
No spoilers.
Very hopeful. It's very delicate, and it's very detailed at the same time. It does talk about the Palestinian identity. How is it robbed and tortured to the point where the Palestinian man actually gives it up to be accepted in the Israeli culture and Israeli society.
Yeah.
But she helps him out to retain it and fix it.
Yeah. And how was this play born?
Well, a lot of it is biographical. I'm a Palestinian who grew up in Israel until 1980. I had relationships with Israeli women. It is not the normal thing to have. And at one point, the system was her mother who stepped in between us. But I couldn't bring in her mother to the stage. I thought it would be more universal if it actually has the political and social background in it.
Right.
So it is biographical, and it's a very political piece at the same time.
So I'm curious about the timing of it, because you obviously had the story in you for a few decades now, but you chose to write it now.
Well, to be honest with you, I really didn't plan for the war on Gaza. I mean, I just happened to land here in the middle of it, and the play has been in the process for a while. I think it's timely and urgent every time and any time in the past or even in the future until the Palestinians and the Israelis come to terms and establish independence and freedom for the Palestinian people.
Yeah. How was it for you now being here during the operation? Because you've been living in the States and you came here for the play, and this caught you.
It hasn't been easy. I mean, the reality of the war and everything around us made its way to the rehearsal room. A lot of tension, a lot of discussion. Some of the words and the lines were cut only to accommodate some of the feelings and some of the issues that we are living in.
Really?
So it's not easy, but we came to compromise, which is nice. It's a group of Palestinians and Jewish people. The director, Sinai Peter, an amazing man who made it clear that this is purposely created for the mixed audience, for the Israelis and the Palestinians.
And there is this special mixture. I mean, it's the Arabic theater. It's their first play in Hebrew. Is that significant in your eyes?
It is. It's a courageous step for the artistic director Adnan Tarabshi, who actually, when I said I want to translate it to Hebrew and I want it to be presented to the Israeli audience, he had some opposition, of course, in the in his own council and director, but he fought hard, and we got it. And I think it's very important that the Israeli audience hear our voice as Palestinians. And what the beauty is, it's in Hebrew, so the Palestinian can also understand it. So you have a mixed audience sitting next to each other, watching something very delicate and very unspeakable subject.
And the timing of it couldn't be more relevant. I mean, the situation right now is that tension between Arabs and Jews are at an all-time high, I think.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate, and it's very sad that the ultra-right and right-wing on both sides is just pulling away from the center, and it's tough.
Yeah, we've seen not long ago a wedding between an Arab man, a Jewish woman, that caused a lot of frenzy here in Israel. You actually live in a relationship like this. You yourself married a Jewish woman. Have you ever experienced something like it?
I ran away, to be honest with you. I got married and left the country. But it's sad after I got married. It's been almost 31 years that this still exists. It's unfortunate. To me and to my wife, it's pathetic, honestly. We will look at it as something, how could you make a love story illegal? How could it hurt anybody's feeling? It's a very personal feeling between the couple, between the two people. And who's on the outside to stop this? Whether it's a judicial system, the judge who actually gave a permission to people to protest it, which is obnoxious, or anybody else. It's a personal thing, just like in the play.
So what do you think the future holds? Are you able to remain optimistic, maybe with the distance that you've put between you and this land?
Yeah, I'm always optimistic. Even people who came to see the play and thought, where's the hope? It's not hopeful. I said, it's on the last page. If you really pay attention, it's there. You just have to look for it. And it depends on, if it's in your heart, you'll find it. And if it's not, you're going to be blinded by
no
racism and discrimination.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that your play is able to bring it to more hearts that are out there. Hanna Eady, thank you so much again for coming in today.
Thanks.
Moving on, the battle with the Islamic State has many fronts, some of them surprising. A TV channel in Iraq chose satire as a tool to delegitimize terror with a new series that mocks the IS. Sandy Fortis has the story.
The constant ISIS grabbing of the headlines in the world media might ironically be an inspiration for terror. Iraqi TV channel decided not to give in to fear and is currently dealing with the threat through humor. The channel has created a satirical series about the terror group militants, starring the fearful Khalifa that never goes out, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The idea is to deprive ISIS radical ideas by making fun of the jihadists and encourage the viewer to overcome his fears.
They believe that air conditioning is prohibited by religion, as well as the use of the mirrors and taking haircuts. This is a backward thinking. On our show, we will explain the primitiveness in a comical way.
A pretty difficult mission, since most Iraqi actors fear retaliation.
Many players were afraid to participate in the show, but many artists were involved, and I consider collaboration as a patriotic duty. Many artists were afraid to participate in this show because they fear the reaction of people on the street, but I have insisted on participatory in order to contribute to the fight against terrorism. There will be no more terrorism or ISIS.
If this show is a new weapon against ISIS, its first scenes almost missed their target. In the first video clip, which was released and broadcast by Iraqi TV, the initial sequence indicates that ISIS was created by the CIA, Israel, and the Gulf monarchies. The video portrays a cowboy pushing the devil to marry a woman with a Star of David around her neck, along with a woman representing Shaykha Moza, the wife of the Emir of Qatar. Then the charming couple gives birth to the Khalifa. After the first strikes by the international coalition, the United States, and several Gulf countries, including Qatar, the creators of the series have quickly tried to correct this by removing the American cowboy and Sheikh Hamoza. Only the future will tell whether the satirical effort and the military one will achieve the desired result.
In a moment, we'll talk about how popular culture can influence real-life politics. But first, here's our cultural recommendation for the day.
His works have revolutionized the aesthetics of architecture. He himself has been labeled as the most important architect of our age by Vanity Fair magazine. Frank Gehry is one of the greatest architects in the world. The 85-year-old Canadian-American, known for his use of postmodern shapes and twisted metal, loves challenges, inventing things, and looking for the right technique that will suit his crazy ideas. In 1989, Gehry was awarded a Pritzker Architecture Prize. For the first time in Europe, the Pompidou Center is to present a comprehensive retrospective of Gehry's work. No other exhibition has ever assembled so many projects, with 225 drawings, 67 models and supporting documentation to offer a reading of this highly distinctive architectural language. Gehry is at the heart of the news with the upcoming opening of the Louis Vuitton Foundation for Creation on October 27th, just on the outskirts of Paris and Bois de Boulogne. Another opening is scheduled for September 30th, the Museum of Biodiversity, the Bridge of Life in Panama, Gehry's first building in Latin America. The retrospective of Frank Gehry, an event not to be missed.
With me in the studio now is Tal Heinrich, the anchor of Focus, right here on I-24 News. Hi, Tal.
Hi, thank you.
So we're going to talk about
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, 2016, yes or no, from a cultural standpoint.
Of course.
Yes.
So Hillary Clinton has reportedly given herself until January 1st to announce whether she's going to run for the presidency or not.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Because who knows? Because who knows if she's actually going to do it or not.
Yes, but if she does so, Odette, first of all, she's going to become the first female candidate, in the history of the United States. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
And of course, that if she gets elected, eventually she will be the first female president of the United States. And this raises a very major and obvious question. First, is the American public ready for a woman as president? And second, from a cultural point of view, are the big networks, TV networks, and big Hollywood studios laying the groundwork for such a future political development? Because
Go ahead. How do you see that?
Because if you remember, and you do remember that, before President Obama got elected, right, we already had on TV, on the certain movies, like big productions, black presidents, if you remember on 24, right, the TV series,
right,
and the movie Deep Impact, right? So personally, I'm not sure what actual role that this really play, in terms of culture as a shaper of public view. But
I think that to some extent, once people have seen a certain image enough times, if they see it again, even if this is real life and this is movies or TV, it won't look as strange to them.
It could be, but it could also be, that he was the right person at a right, at the certain point of time, and many people thought that he's the right person to do the job. So regardless of their viewing habits, but
right.
We can.
What are we seeing on TV? Are we seeing women presidents on TV?
On TV, yes. However, in the movies, the big screen, we don't have a female president, and that's an interesting point. We will get to it later, because I wanted to tell you about a few shows. First, it was Gina Davis starring as president on ABC's Commander-in-Chief.
Right.
It
wasn't a big success.
Exactly.
Let's hope that if Hillary goes on to be president, she'll have a better presidency than that.
The reality series will be a more successful one, exactly. And recently, there are two new shows. One on NBC. It is called State of Affairs, and the actress Alfre Woodard. If you remember her, she was the mother of Tara in True Blood.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, you're from
yeah.
You like the vampires?
You know, the first
the
few
mother
seasons.
of the vampire. Exactly. So she plays the president there. And CBS, they have a new show that might have been inspired by Hillary's former position as Secretary of State. And this show is called Madam Secretary, with Tia Leone as former Clinton.
And plus, we can't forget Veep with Julia.
Right.
Vice President, but still very high role. Tal, thank you so much. That's unfortunately all the time we have today.
Thank you.
Thank you at home for joining us as well. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Culture. As always, hoping you'll join me again.